Hello, I'm Philip Stoten for EMSNow. I'm here at Productronica 2011 and we're just sitting down for a little roundtable discussion on emerging markets, both in terms of geographies but also in terms of verticals. I've got a very distinguished panel with me here today. From the far end, I've got Brian Lau from DEK, Jeff Timms from SIPLACE and Markus Aschenbrenner from Zollner. Start with you, Markus. I kind of the bad habit of thinking of Zollner as a German contract manufacturer, but you've a large global footprint and your customers are everywhere.
That's right, yeah, that's right. And we have 50% of our people in the meantime outside of Germany, so in our facilities abroad. So we're not just a German EMS guy.
Yeah, and you've recently opened somewhere in a plant in California.
We are gonna open the plant. So the grand opening of that plant will be on the 15th of December.
Okay.
So we're right now in the phase where we finalize construction of the building, put in the machines right now, and do the first trials, do the first boards, and as I said, the grand opening ceremony will be midst of December.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great news for you guys to hear about anybody opening a new facility, whether it's there or elsewhere.
No question.
But certainly there are some interesting parts of the world where we're seeing some growth in contract manufacturing. One that keeps getting mentioned is Brazil, and I'd quite like to get that out of the way first. Brian, what are you seeing from your point of view in Brazil in terms of activity, and how does that reflect your strategy for your global footprint?
Yeah, we see Brazil picking up quite a bit. I think the World Cup and the Olympics are driving some of that, so certainly any of the consumer electronics, televisions, computers, infrastructure type of electronics, they're building them locally. Brazil has done a good job of creating new opportunities and jobs for their people, which then allows them to buy these products. So from our standpoint, we've been in Brazil for quite a long time. We made some changes to our distribution channels down there a while ago, and that's had good benefit for us. We found some good partners, and also even our parent company Dover has now installed a kind of corporate headquarters down there for the South American market that helps support us with the infrastructure of finance, legal, import, export, compliance. So that we can make sure that we're doing business in the right ways in that area as well.
Okay, and Jeff, I don't know what your activities are there, but it seems that you've got to kind of be on the ground with local people and local knowledge.
No question.
Brazil's done a great job, as Brian says, in keeping that business. It's pretty much uneconomic to import finished goods into Brazil, so
no question.
Manufacturing there is going to take off.
No question. Yeah. So we see as Brian said, the country itself has done a really good job of maintaining a manufacturing base, and it's expanding. And it really fits very well with our target verticals as well. If I look at the automotive industry, if I look at the fast emerging conversions of mobile phones and computing, i.e. the iPad, products such as this, it's directly in line with our strategy for hitting the market. But you're right. You have to have feet on the ground. You have to have your own legal entity and presence in the country. And if you have that, get that as a foundation, it gives you a great base from which to grow.
Okay. And Markus, from your point of view, the Californian plant, obviously a big new investment, but where do you think you're looking at next? What are the markets that you're keeping an eye on and thinking, maybe we should be thinking about manufacturing now?
So as you know, we have quite a strong footprint here in Europe with Germany, Hungary, Romania. So we are well settled there. Of course, we will do some investments in our Eastern European plants in order of adding capacity on there. We have a plant in China, as you know. We are looking to expand also our Asian footprint, so there will definitely be investments into Asia. Not focusing just on China, but maybe also a second plant somewhere in the Southeast Asian area. And we have customers already requesting South America, but that's too far away. So there's no concrete plans that we open up something now.
Okay, and China comes up regularly, and everybody says to me, what's next? What's the new China? And my answer tends to be more China. We were talking earlier about the emergence of the NEPCON exhibition in West China. I think that West China development's really important. What do you think, Brian?
We're actually already positioning ourselves for the growth in West China. I think there are still some infrastructure problems that they need to work out, power, roads, transportation. Part of the success China has had over other parts of Asia is also the supply chain.
Right.
So where India has kind of started and installed, where Vietnam has started and installed, China has the supply chain that really is the benefit to the big manufacturers.
Yeah.
And that supply chain hasn't yet moved out to Western China and doesn't have the infrastructure to get it there.
Yeah.
So as that emerges and develops, I think Western China will start to expand, if not just for the labor pool that's available locally.
Or for the labor pool and the kind of companies that we're seeing going there. Jeff, what kind of companies and what kind of products do you think Western China is going to manufacture initially?
You know, actually, if you look at what's happening in China, even if things begin to slow down from an export standpoint, just satisfying their own internal population with electronics products, smartphones and computing and every other gadget that people want to have today, it's a huge growing market, regardless of whatever they're exporting.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we find ourselves landing in airports that we've never heard the names of before and things like this. But it is absolutely moving into Western China. It is absolutely developing very quickly, and we have to expand to meet that.
Yeah, and those infrastructure issues are going to be resolved as they start to build those science parks there.
That's
I
right.
think what's really fascinating is if we look at China and we look at Brazil and we think of those as success and potential success stories, interesting that government control has a role to play in these, in terms of the control of the growth, control of the import and export market. It's fascinating. Markus, the question I wanted to ask you is, as you develop your global footprint, as you build this footprint around the world, what does that mean in terms of the demands you make on your suppliers? Does it reduce your supply pool? Because you have to have support pretty much everywhere. For I don't know if you're moving one machine from place to place, but
so in terms of, so we are in a lucky phase there, Phil, as you know. We didn't grow through acquisition in the past, so we always try to keep the same equipment, same software in all our plants, and that's because we didn't do any acquisition that was possible, and which is obvious that we want to keep it like that, because we have a strong strong partners there on the machine supplier base, and we have a lot of knowledge with those partners, and this is why we try to keep it as stands as we have right now. Of course, if there's a new technology or something coming up, then we have to look at, and certainly we do our benchmarks out there in order to see are we still on the right track, or are the partners on the right track that we have, but we want to keep our core suppliers for the core processes that we have stable and don't want to blow that up.
Yeah, and in terms of what they have to do, I guess you then need their support in those areas.
Sure, definitely, and that's something that we look at if we develop a new site, or if we plan a new site, that we have really strong support there in order to have really the 24/7 support that we need for our manufacturing.
Okay, so 2 more questions. I'll give you the last question before the second to last, because you can think about it. I'm going to finish by asking you what new market you can surprise me with. So what your kind of crystal ball thing. But before that, just give me a quick overview for what you think is happening here in Europe. We're hearing a lot about uncertainty, but we're getting some really positive messages in the marketplace. People are manufacturing stuff in Europe competitively with flexible platforms, with high mix, and doing a good job. So, you know, I know it's very difficult to predict what's going on here with the debt crisis and all kinds of other stuff. What do you see moving forward? Maybe we can start with you on that, Brian.
I think, you know, Europe is always going to be a strong market. It has a lot of nationalism to it, so there's a pride in manufacturing here. They're also, because of the efficiencies that they look for and the engineering that they put into the manufacturing process, they can be competitive with almost anybody in the world. I think where they're starting to find their way is in what type of products. You know, so automotive, just-in-time type of products do well. High reliability, medical, telecom infrastructure, those do well. You know, are we going to build iPhones in Europe? Probably not in the near future. But they will find their way and continue to expand in those. And you know, the more phones we sell, the more infrastructure we need. So that will continue to be manufactured here.
Absolutely.
So
that's right.
Jeff.
Similar view. You know, as I look at the market, I refer to this as really high-value, flexible manufacturing, right? And although there are pockets of high volume activity, particularly in Eastern Europe, it's really going to be driven by this high value, flexible manufacturing. And if you look at these products, the labor content is the small part of the cost of these products. So that brings back the urgency and the importance of the supply chain, making sure that we're sourcing things correctly and from the right areas of the world.
Yeah.
And but it's really again high value, flexible.
Yeah. And as a contract manufacturer, I guess you're seeing the same. You're seeing the verticals that work well here in Europe are different to those perhaps that you're working with in Asia.
Slightly, yes.
Yeah.
Manufacturing here in Europe is strong. There's a strong attitude to manufacturing and to processes here in Europe. And if we look at our business, our main business is here European business, and it will remain like that for a while. I'm sure of that. And through that flexibility we have here in Europe, we can really react very flexible to the ups and downs in the market. And if you look at the situation right now, for sure there is crisis going on in Euro and Middle Asia right now, and in the US, but I don't see that there is a big dip or something coming. So I haven't. That's not the feeling that I have right now. And if I look at the trade show here, which is happening right now, there's a lot of visitors here. There's good mood in here. So I don't see that there's a big dip coming. It will soften out a little bit. That's for sure, because we had big growth over the last 2 years. So it can go on like that for the next few years. But I don't see a dip coming.
That's good news, and certainly what we've heard from people who are talking to us is that they're looking at equipment and they're looking at buying.
Yep.
So there are good signals like that. Okay, big $1 million question. Start with you, Brian. Surprise me. What market's going to be a shock to us in the next couple of years, do you think?
I don't know if I can surprise you with anything, but the one I would pick that is kind of an underrated market that I think is going to grow a lot is Malaysia.
Okay.
The reason being is if you look at the increasing labor costs in China, some of the complexities of doing business, of importing and exporting out of China, Malaysia has all the same benefits without some of the hassle. And they have a supply chain.
And they have good infrastructure.
And they have good infrastructure. So, versus India, Vietnam, which you hear a lot about, they've got political issues, they've got the infrastructure issues, they don't have the supply chain. It's going to take years. Eventually they probably will get their act together, but it'll take quite a few years, versus Malaysia is a very simple solution right now.
Okay. Jeff?
So I don't think I have a single answer to that. I think we're going to see China continue to grow, regardless of what moves in and out of there from a manufacturing standpoint. I think we're going to see Malaysia grow for all the reasons that Brian said. And I think as the costs continue to come up in the low-cost manufacturing centers of Asia, you're going to see Mexico start to grow again.
Yeah, I think Mexico is one to watch.
Mexico is underrated right now, and from everything I see, we're going to be pretty darn close to cost parity by 2015.
Yeah, they get some political stuff sorted out there.
That's right. That's right. So it's going to be interesting.
And Markus, you're just going to grow everywhere, yeah?
Yeah, we would like to. I don't think that I can surprise you with any new things going on, because the situation is as it was already described here. Whereas I see China a little bit different, because if you look at labor rates in China, if you look at the renminbi compared to the euro, compared to the dollar, so the attractivity of China is changing right now. So that's at least what I see. So there will be other countries coming up. Malaysia, for sure, a country that I see as well, regaining interest right now. India, there is issues in India in terms of infrastructure, in terms of customs within the country. Brazil, we talked about Brazil. So the funny thing that I had last week was a customer showing up saying, hey, how about manufacturing in South Africa?
Yeah.
So that was funny to me, because...
so you got to look.
Yeah.
You got to go see.
Why not? So that was a little bit surprising to me. The rest is, I think, pretty clear.
Well, guys, it sounds like agility is going to be the key. Agility in terms of what Markus and his peers do, but also agility in what you guys can provide in terms of product to allow them to do that. Thanks very much for talking to me. Thanks for your time. Brian, Jeff, Markus, pleasure as always, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.